Hey there, folks. Geology professor Sean Wilsey here, reporting on a tragic geologic event that took place along the northern Nepal border. You've probably seen a lot of these videos already. I'll show you a little clip here. This is from the BBC. This is right along one of these river valleys here, and you can see this massive flooding event, the flash flood essentially, that came through. You can see everyone just running and then just things just gone. You can see all the cars getting moved, just a tremendous sobering amount of water just coming through this narrow mountain valley and just basically destroying everything in its path. I mean, really kind of graphic there when you consider the power that occurred there. We've got at least 160 deaths reported thus far, but still more than 600 missing. Roads and bridges were destroyed. You can see that with this clip here. Hydroelectric power has been compromised and taken out, lots of infrastructure damage there. And obviously the details and the numbers on this tragedy will still go on for some time. Another quick clip here. This is an Instagram post, and this shows you more or less the overview of it. So you can see that flood just powering down this river valley here. This is probably some distance downstream even where the mountain valleys fan out a little bit there, but you can just see how incredibly powerful those are. Just really incredible. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I think the main thing I'd like to focus on here is why. Usually when we think about flash floods, we think about heavy rainfall, which is a trigger for these types of events, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. I've cobbled together what bits of information I can between classes, so take everything I'm about to present to you with a bit of a grain of salt. I'll put whatever references and links I've found in the video description, but the details of this event are still playing out. There's still a lot to kind of put together to tell us exactly what happened here. So the interesting thing here is there was no rain in the area for the last 2 days, so it doesn't seem to be a typical flash flood triggered by rain. The initial reports we had were from the USGS showed a magnitude 4.4 earthquake in a nearby region. So there was some initial reports that you might see as you look at the news that there was an earthquake, a 4.4 earthquake, and that maybe that caused something else to happen that triggered this big flooding event. But the USGS went and analyzed that event as quickly as they could, and notice they now have it as a 5.2 landslide. And I'll just read this exactly here for you. This event was initially reported as a magnitude 4.4 earthquake. Additional analysis of long period seismic waves indicate that the seismic energy was instead generated by a glacial collapse and debris flow. So that seems to be the leading hypothesis right now as to what caused this thing. And furthermore, we have, so basically we've got the leading edge of this glacier. So let's switch over to Google Earth and look at the area here in question. I believe it's up one of these valleys right here. Yeah, right in here. So you can see we've got this topography with these high mountain glaciers. We're well over 17,000 feet here, where these glaciers exist, and then these drop quickly. You can see where some of the crevasses are on these glaciers and these ice falls as it drops over this steep topography down these very steep tributaries and down to the main valley below, which is at like a little over 9,000 feet. So you have an incredible steep topography here. And so the current idea is that the leading edge of possibly this glacier right here collapsed, and that glacial collapse raced down this valley, smashed into the valley below. All that energy was directed into the ground, and that's what was felt, not felt by people per se, but that was what was recorded as that 5.2 earthquake from this big glacial collapse and rock collapse down into the valley. And then as that ice comes down the valley, it's breaking up, it's frictionally heating, melting into water. And so then you have that all that material going down into the valley. There's maybe some ideas that it may have dammed up the river, forming a lake behind it, and then that catastrophically burst and went downstream, forming the incredible event you see there. So I do have a couple things here for you. We've got Dan Sugar, who's an associate professor at the University of Calgary, posted on LinkedIn some satellite data that kind of shows this area I was talking about, this leading edge of the glacier. He runs you through this kind of quickly, but he's basically showing yesterday, today satellite imagery. And you can see when we get to the today, he's going to show you this here. He's toggling between the 2 days there. That's yesterday, the 25th. And then right over here, he's going to show you this distinct break right here in the glacier, where it seems like some of this material is broken off here. Now, as we look here, we've got kind of a cloudy image. It's hard to tell exactly what's going on, and I tried to reach out to him with a question or two, but I haven't heard back yet. So that's possibly the place where the glacier broke off, at least based on some of this analysis of this satellite imagery. Leading edge of this glacier broke off, collapsed down into the valley, turning into water, all that rock and debris damming up the river potentially, and then bursting through. And I'm not sure if it dammed up the river or if maybe the whole slurry just went downstream. There's still a lot of the story yet to figure out here. But I'll link these articles as well, which give you some clarity. This kind of links to that satellite imagery that I showed you a second ago, as well as this news article as well, that kind of explains that same sort of process there. So really dramatic result. Let's also consider that this, unlike, a flash flood, which is mostly water, this event would have incorporated a tremendous amount of rocks, sediment, and debris, which makes that flood, that big wall of what we think of as water coming in, it's actually more dense than that. This is a debris flow, essentially. I think calling it a debris flow is more appropriate than calling it a flood or a flash flood, because it's got a lot more dense material in it than just water. But the effects of this thing went all the way downstream, affecting many communities there. I've heard of things of like helicopter airlifting people off of roofs. Just a really tremendously powerful event. Going back to that initial video I showed there, that's about as forceful as I've ever seen any sort of flooding event, where it just slams into the buildings and then everything's just kind of gone there. So a very tragic day, a very sad event that took place there in the northern Nepal region, and we'll hope that they can find a lot of survivors there. But I wanted to shed just a little bit of light as best I could on the science of this event. Again, just cobbled together what bits of information I could. Would be happy to be corrected, totally realizing I might be wrong here, but hopefully that sheds a little bit of light on this event that took place today. So thank you again for your patience and for watching the channel, and we'll see you next time. Take care.